Hello and welcome. At Times Network India Economic Conclave, I am being joined by a very special guest, someone who dons many hats. He's an economist, he's an author, and a very popular face on social media, Mr. Sanjeev Sanyal. Thank you so much for speaking with us, sir.
Pleasure.
My first question to you is, since you are a writer yourself, several surveys show that the young generation is not reading enough. Does that trend worry you?
Well, I actually disagree with this. I don't see any decline in at least my own book sales or those of my friends like Amish Tripathi or Ashwin Sanghi. So this accusation that is made towards Gen Z is, in my view, not entirely accurate. Of course, there are some kids who don't read, but there are who do.
That brings me to my next question. Delhi Book Fair is around the corner. There are several literature festivals happening across the country. You yourself are a part of several literature festivals. How important do you think such events are in order to draw more readers towards the books?
I'm glad that there is this new interest in literature festivals. In fact, their very popularity tells you that the younger generation is quite engaged with literature and ideas and so on. So I think it's a question of the storytellers, whether it's fiction or non-fiction, to write better stories. So I think if Gen Z is not finding our stories interesting, then it is not their fault, it's our fault.
Right. And also, sir, decolonization is a very important issue these days. Prime Minister himself raised the Macaulayan mindset and its impact on our development. How far do you think a common Indian is from being decolonized?
Well, decolonization is a continuous process. It's not an event. And even the Macaulay term is not about the individual, but about a mindset that goes back to the colonial period, but has unfortunately continued into the post-colonial period, where we have continued to use frameworks of thinking about the world, which we derive from other people's frameworks. And in many cases, those frameworks were deliberately created to control our thinking. Whether it's the colonial or the Marxist, or all of these frameworks were deliberately created and placed into our heads, very often through the media or through textbooks and so on. So that has to be, we have to consciously rid them from our system. Now, we are therefore, you may know that we are currently rewriting our textbooks. This has to be done very carefully, because it's not a matter of replacing one bunch of lies with another bunch of lies. So they have to be done carefully and thoughtfully, so it takes time. But similarly, even in, for example, Bollywood, for a long time, the narratives in Bollywood were controlled essentially by, criminal mafia groups who finance these, this industry. We are now seeing new kinds of ideas, new kinds of art forms even coming up in Bollywood. So there is a breakup of the old framework, and you're seeing a lot more indigenous storytelling, ideas, intellectual frameworks coming up. And that's a good thing. Right. But that is, I would warn you at the same time, this is not to suggest that we reject any and every idea coming from outside. But we need to accept those external ideas, the new ideas from the rest of the world. Let them come, but we need to accept them on our own terms.
Right. Also, in order to decolonize oneself, what are your top 5 or books that you recommend people in order to read and understand what decolonization is and how to get rid of it?
So I actually have the opposite view, that you should actually read even the writings of those who come from a colonial background, because only then will you understand the contrast with the other views, the new indigenous writers, thinkers, etc. So ironically, you should read the entire gamut. To fight something, you have to you have to always read the books of your opponents.
But would you like to recommend any?
Well, I mean, there is a huge number of great writers. For example, I would say Vikram Sampath is a fantastic historian. If you want to read fiction, there is, as I said, Ashwin Sanghi and Amish. You can read my books if you want.
Well, thank you so much for your time, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.